Well, we've pumped it up. Yeah, I'm nervous for Ben Rutten. I don't think he can survive too many more performances like that. And for these reasons, firstly, I want to get to Dyson Heppell and his comments during the week.
Talk about smiling. Anyone can jam it, I'll tell you what, for telling us to stop smiling. So we came in and just a great vibe in the rooms and produced a fantastic performance.
Well, that was a week ago. You wouldn't want to be smiling this week on the back of this 30 tackles at the SCG, which is a small, congested ground on a Saturday night. Greasy conditions against a really strong opponent. 30 tackles. This is unbelievable. Second lowest tackle count in an 18-team era. Callum Mills had 13 himself as an individual for Sydney. Essendon had 30 as a side. Some big names had 1, and I'm including Merritt and Parrish on that. They were as physically meek as you have ever seen. There was more pressure in the last quarter of an internal trial game in February than Essendon produced last night, and it's concerning, and I don't reckon Ben Rutten, Lordo, can survive too many more performances like that with the lack of pressure and defensive action that Essendon have shown.
I can't argue with that, Kane-O, because it's round 9, TJ, and as I said, it's getting tiring because we're saying the same things over and over about they're the worst defensive side in the game. And I just wanted to show early in the game yesterday that it's 2-1, 16 minutes 13, and there's players like Wicks here that are just strolling. So Buddy gets hit up with no pressure. And this is stuff that you might see in local football, where there's just no accountability. The ball goes in. There's another one. Will Hayward just charging in. Still the first quarter. The player just rolls around Tommy Papley and just hits up another player inside forward 50. This is just not good enough. Not good enough from an accountability perspective. So it could have shown countless ones of them. But I want to talk about the pressure further afield. So this is Andrew McGrath, who spoke really honestly a couple of weeks ago. What is that? So we always highlight the defenders and the inside 50s, but Kane, you've just highlighted it. That's an example of that meek effort you're talking about, where there's no pressure further afield, and that's why the questions will be asked. It was an emotional win, TJ, last week, but that's more the true Essendon across now 9 rounds, which is as bad as it gets.
So what was last week?
That was an emotion-charged win. More so, they'd been under siege all week. 5 players go out. They all got off the back of each other for probably a quarter and a half. But then it was just it stood for nothing because of what we saw yesterday.
Wow. Can I just ask you to go back to your Dyson Heppell, where you ran that grab of him saying, about the smiling and they're not going to... He backed that up only a couple of days later at training. What do you want them to do? Do you want the Essendon players to walk in? I get everything that Lordo says, but do you want them to walk in with their heads down?
Yeah,
and
when you sign up...
they're not allowed to smile at all?
Not on the back of the year they've had. When you sign up to be an AFL footballer, TJ, it is all-encompassing. It is almost your... For 30 weeks of the year, that is your priority. So the last thing that Essendon fans who haven't witnessed a winning final for 20 years is want to see the Bombers rolling into training and being jovial. It's just a perception thing.
But what's the point of walking in with your head down
because
and this sort of forlorn look?
Because the fans are hurting, right? You don't see Essendon fans walking to work on Monday morning all up and about. This actually means something to them, so they want to see that it means something to their players. They're not seeing it on the field, and you don't want to see Dyson Heppell and his mates. In Heppell's 200th game, mind you, they managed 30 tackles for one of their better players for a long period of time. Their supposedly inspirational captain, and Merritt and Parrish could lay 1 tackle. I don't know. When you lose, if you lost the ratings,
we don't walk in, so we're not scared to smile.
I think there would be an aura in the room that is a bit disappointing. But that's how competitive you. I know how competitive you are.
But you're disappointed for 10, 15 minutes, and then you move on. Okay, you're not just going to sort of drop your head, drop your bundle to keep the likes of you happy.
Yeah, well, it's not about keeping me happy. It's about keeping...
No, but it is. But you're one of the strongest critics about it. You've just said...
I think it's a great argument because I could never do what Dyson Heppell did. I could never be smiling and having... I want off that ground. I'm angry. And I think Joel Selwood's very much in line with that. But Heppell's a different person. He's a different type of captain. But that also could be why Essendon are where they're at the moment. Yeah,
all right. OK, well, each to their own, but I don't know what's to gain by just sort of moping around on the training track. I mean, at the end of the day, it's a game of football.
I understand that, but it means a lot to a lot of people.
It does, and Luke Parker was on camera taunting Dylan Shield and some Essendon players last night. Not sure what the incident was, and we think it might be here, but there was a few moments after that where Luke Parker played a pretty good game as well. So you move on from that pretty quickly, but it's a trigger for, I think, Ben Rutten to go, OK, whatever he's talking about, we don't care, but we never want to be associated with that again. I'd be showing his teammates the Jai Caldwell going back with the flight. That was unbelievable courage. I think it was the third or the last quarter for the Essendon Football Club. You don't want to be known as that, and I think they can move on pretty quickly from that.
You never ever want to be walked over in life or disrespected in any way, and I thought Dylan Shield was disrespected in a way you never want to be treated as a footballer, and this was the next contest. I would have ploughed straight through Parker here and got him to the ground and said, you will never ever treat me like that again.
Free kick.
I wouldn't have cared what happened.
That's taken that whole conversation into a new zone, though. If someone else would have had a version of events of that was undisciplined, and that's the sort of behaviour you don't want as a player, I would have thought.
No, I'm saying, like,
if you were to cannon into...
I'm cannon into him. Fair enough. If you don't give away a free kick, even better. All right, but I'm talking like just don't. You can't be walked. Do you reckon Joel Selwood will go again if he was?
But no one would have done that to Joel Selwood.
That's right. So I'm saying Dylan Shield isn't that type of player to do it. But I would have loved if someone else did it on his behalf.
Yeah.
Like Essendon, do you reckon? I think that'll be something that Ben Rutten will show and say, this is how you are viewed, Dylan, and this is how us as a team are being viewed.
Yep.
Where's the nastiness gone?
In the pre-season, they often, you set your leadership trademarks and you ask the question, how do you think the rest of the competition views us? And then you try and give an honest answer. Well, that's the answer for how the competition views Essendon. Not once did Luke Parker. He did it 6 times. Now, that's a reflection of not Dylan Shield, but the Essendon Football Club as a whole and how they're viewed amongst the competition.
And this next incident, what happened after that? Let's see if anyone gets in the Rowbottom.
This is Zach Merritt being collected by James Rowbottom. Now, he like Caldwell, got up, Merritt. And I think there's a match review office decision to be made there on Rowbottom.
But what I'm saying is, who goes at Rowbottom? Has a crack at him? Nobody. It's every man for themselves, TJ.
You're almost advocating going back, and Campbell Brown's going to join on the handball a little later on. You're almost advocating going back to those days.
There's got to be room for intimidation still in this game. Yep.
Well, you can't even raise your arms, mate, with the umpire.
No, but you can still hit down the line.
You can't, Lloydie.
Yes,
you can't. If it's vindictive, if you're saying Dylan Shield should go Parker at their next play, that's premeditated. And that's
of course
the sort of stuff you can't have.
Give away a free kick. If so,
but that's not a good
done that without being reported.
Give away a free kick and then give away a 50-metre penalty for disputing it, and then you've got another goal kick.
Who's saying dispute anything?
Well, you give away a free kick, which could lead to
Where's
a goal.
the 50 come into it?
Well, you give away a free kick. That you can say that's undisciplined. That's undisciplined. It's got to be better.
This is still a hard, brutal game.
I understand that.
Who's Melbourne? Are they a tough side?
Yep.
Yeah. Exactly.
But no one's going to...
Fremantle, they are a hard, ruthless team at the moment.
Are you suggesting it's time for Essendon to draw a line in the sand?
Yeah, yep, spot on. Spot on. If you can't be as talented as a team, the effort doesn't come into it. 30 tackles says it all. The lack of defence says it all. They're too nice. They're too nice and there's no ruthless streak whatsoever. And I think the side would have loved to have seen him bowl him over. And,
It doesn't always work, Lotto.
What's that?
It doesn't always work.
No, but you start somewhere. You've got to start somewhere, Dave.
Okay, well...
How's it going the other way? How's it going for them?
Well, it didn't work for you. You didn't play again after you took that attitude.
Damo, we kicked the next 10 goals and we played in a final.
You didn't play
next
again.
week. So what? But it changed the course of the game.
Final.
Damo, I'm not talking about knocking someone into tomorrow. I'm talking about making a statement that you're not going to be walked all over. And they are being walked all over.
Well, if they're going to draw a line in the sand, as you suggest they need to do, no greater stage than the MCG next Saturday night against Richmond.